Great, Margaret. Thank you so much for organizing. I can see a lot of people coming in and they already start chatting. So the momentum it's amazing. And today we are super excited to put up this panel discussion with and we are going to drill down in details. What exactly is a no-code movement? What brings these no-code thingy to becoming a cult? And it's been around for a decade, but recently a lot of tools and products coming in, and many communities are trying to make use of no-code to enable more people to tapping into the tech business as well. Before we go, why don't we hear more about a story from Plate? Please go ahead, introduce yourself, tell us your fun fact as well.
Thank you, Felix. Yeah, thank you, Margaret. Thanks, Startup Grind. Feels great to be here, and thank you so much for having me. Indeed, this is a whole new world, although, as we probably will revisit during our conversation today, is actually not so new, but everything new is something that we have once forgotten, as one say. Anyways, getting back to Zeroqode, indeed, we are a company that is producing and sustaining a suite of no-code tools and services that are helping people to launch their products, their services, their ideas fast and easy. So we are working on empowering more people, giving them ways and means to accomplish what they have always been dreaming of, but didn't ever think that they actually have the ways and means to get there. So Zeroqode is providing a wide range of tools to accomplish that, starting from no-code templates that can take care of starting your application or your platform off of a very solid baseline that can take care of all the basics, and you just need to focus on your idea by changing things and moving things around without necessarily dipping into code, over to power builders and no-code framework of our choice that is called Bubble. That is plugins that take care of specific functionality. We also offer a massive selection of video courses for people getting started on the no-code journey, as well as someone looking for something more sophisticated to enhance their existing business with, or rethink their business overall. As well as we have a ton of experimental ideas that are big and small, such as conversion of websites to native applications. And we also, last but not least, we are doing major consulting, meaning that we take and provide the whole spectrum of web development services, starting from the very early design stages over to the launch and support, all without using code. So we do development, design, testing, and optimization of your ideas without code. And at the very least, I mean, we do too many things even these days. We're actually currently working on a very big conference, which is going to be one of the biggest ones, if not the biggest one, in the no-code world. That is called Zeroqode Conference. It's going to be taking place in October. And we're currently working with a lot of great companies that would be willing to participate, speak, present their ideas, present their products, and to the no-code world for both seasoned veterans of that and people just getting started and interested in the concept. So if anyone on this conversation is tempted by the idea to explore what no-code has to offer after this conversation today, I think that the Zeroqode Conference in October is something that you want to be a part of. So that's kind of in a nutshell what Zeroqode does, among many other things, which yeah, I can probably talk about for quite some time.
Yeah, that's amazing. I can hear you are sitting in that position to capture the whole value propositions of how entrepreneurs should move all the way from an idea to a viable business, and eventually getting resources in one place to connect different stakeholders so that they can grow, connect, and learn from each other. I think it's really fascinating. And just a bit background about myself. My name is Felix. I've been working in the AngelHub as head of growth, where we invest early stage companies across regions. Also involve a lot of community buildings activities. And personally, I'm also a no-code movement followers, running 3 projects company built without code. And that's how I enjoy my time in the evening and weekend. But circle back to the conversation today, no-code movement have been subtly exist for some time. Like people talk about it, people tweet about it, people put up content on multiple digital channels, and now it's evolved into a lot of variations as well. Why don't you tell us more about how come no code became a cult, and what exactly no code movement is?
Yeah, it's a very good question. So no code is something that let's say the no code world came up as with the best term that people came up. I mean, no one have thought of anything better than that, but no code is actually too wide to correctly explain what the movement is all about. Because what has lately been on the rise and what has been trending and what everyone is talking about are mostly no-code tools that help you to develop software, develop services, or automate your work. That has been the latest trend, and the tools in that particular niche of no-code, which is actually much wider than that, have been very efficient and have been finally recognized for being very helpful to people. And companies like Bubble, like Webflow, like Zapier, Airtable, and there's too many great companies to list them all. They have been on the rise in 2020 like crazy, because people finally understood that there's so much more efficiency that they can gain if they dip into those tools, and the learning curve is so small as compared to anything else that gives a similar opportunity and similar functionality. So people have been going crazy about this in 2020, and actually this even started before that. It started probably in 2019, around that time. But no code by itself, as I mentioned, is actually a pretty old, or it has been around for quite some time. And the unsexy opinion about no code is that most of the things you do on your computer are actually no code, starting from the very basics, such as creating your Word documents. You're assuming you're not using code for that, and you're creating your PowerPoint presentations or browsing your web applications on your browser. That is also kind of no code, because not so much time ago, maybe 20, 30 years ago, and maybe even less than that, a lot of these things were not possible without at least some portion of code being part of the process. Taking a very simplistic example is something that I was shocked at. I'm discovering, like something simple such as email campaigning, right? Everyone knows MailChimp, ActiveCampaign, and all these tools. Everyone can configure them. They don't require code, and they easily distribute your message to your list of subscribers. But not so long ago, you actually needed a programmer to do that. You actually needed a coder to define a script, to create a message, and then for that script to work, to distribute that message over to your list of subscribers. So that was not no code, and now it is. So my definition of no code is actually, this is a natural progression of evolution of technology that just makes more and more things way more accessible to more people. So back in the day, even creating a text document was something that only tech-savvy people could do. Now everyone can do that. So the same is happening with software development and creation of products and services. So back in the day, in order to create your own unique product or software, you needed to have a tech background or coding experience, or otherwise a software engineer type of skill set, but not anymore. So tools are here today. They're already great. They're not early stage. They are already live and kicking, that can allow anyone with the right mindset and with a good idea, even with a bad one, by the way, to go ahead and create their products with no prior technical background, and learn, iterate, create, improve, and so on. This is just the natural way of things, the way they evolved in the technological world, and probably in everything world. So no code is part of the process, part of the evolution, and I'm really happy that people are finally recognizing it for what it is, something real, something that is here to stay, but the people do not realize that it was always there. So it was just getting to a point when suddenly a lot of people start to realize it and feel it, which is great for everyone.
Yeah, it's good to hear you mention the past and the present, where how we create documents like visuals, animations, and we actually benefit from the subtle benefits of coding and no coding. And I still remember the days when we were on like Dreamweaver Sanger, kind of no
Exactly.
code. Actually, you push your content and you
Very much no
display
code. Yeah.
and help people understand what you want to express. And now
Yeah.
you mentioned there's also a lot of tools out there like Bubble, Zapier, not to mention. So I started to see a separation between like early adopters, early no coders who are really experienced, and there's a new batch of people in this room who eventually want to become a no coder. So how can the community bring these two different groups of people together, connect, learn, and support each other?
Yeah, it's a great question. And I think no-code communities are the best type of communities that I've ever seen on the internet. People in those communities are the most supportive, the most open, and that I ever had a pleasure of being a part of and experiencing one way or another. This is the community of builders, people that are know exactly where you are, that have been there, that has stumbled upon the same issues and problems. So it is so natural to help each other out, be each other's critique in a very positive way, and help people to overcome the same hurdles you have been stuck with, maybe a week ago, maybe a month ago, maybe 2 years ago. So and this is manifesting everywhere. So we are part of the large Bubble community, which is probably the most amazing community in the world. I highly encourage people to try it out. But even no-code Twitter by itself, which is a much larger space, is so helpful, and it's full of people being super supportive of one each other, helping with ideas, helping with good advice, and being each other's first adopters and number one fans. So the community is all it takes to make or break a particular service. Nowadays, people are realizing the value and the role of the community in pretty much anything that you do. So no code has that covered. So the only thing you need to do to find mentors, to find inspiration, to find new ideas is just, get on no code Twitter. That's all you need to do, really. And then you can dig deeper into a particular community, or if you fancy a particular tool like Webflow or Bubble or Zapier, there are subsections of that. There are specialized forums. There are places where people hang out. There are meetups. There are chats like that that you can be a part of. And it's just it goes on and on from there. But if you want to get started somewhere, no-code Twitter is the best place in the world to get you started, regardless of what is the actual stage you're starting from. The community can take care of everything.
Yeah, I can hear like the stages is really crucial, like for people, like how and when to decide using which tools and finding resources as in mentors, partners. And I can see the values of community are coming into place to provide this platform to allow people to access knowledge easily. So speaking of, if let's say a founder, like, or maybe a people who work full-time want to persuade a side hustle, side idea, how can they turn in ideas into a tech business without the hustle of finding a tech co-founder? I remember when we prepared a call, like you mentioned, your business is still almost completely no-code, but you're trying to make use of some technology to make it more advanced and enable more people to get the taste of no-code. So how does it exactly work?
Our business is a great example of that particular idea. So just um, getting back to how it all started, neither myself or my co-founder, Devon, are actually technical people. We have never worked as software engineers. We have never been in a super technical roles, although we both had our share of experience around technical world. So I did work as a software engineer very early in my career. I never was developing software professionally, but I tinkered a lot with databases, software architectures, and all that. But then I quickly transitioned to technical project management and never went back. and Levon was actually doing programming back in his school days. So he was doing this as a passion, but quickly that never came to anything like a career or anything like that. So we kind of retained this passion for creating things, for making things and building them the way we want to, the shaping them and then turning our ideas into something tangible that can affect people's lives in a way, or at least our own. And but we never found a way to kind of skip through the boring part of it, which is selecting the framework and making sure you have the right semicolon in the right place, and have that space that is the the make or break for the whole code to run or not. That was always a bit frustrating for us because we always wanted to skip to the point. So when we discovered Bubble, which was the dream framework and dream technology that could do exactly that. So we actually got all the best part of it. We could create anything we wanted to, shape it visually and functionally the way we wanted to, without the boring part of tinkering with semicolons. It was all taken care of in the visual editor that was running in your browser, still is, by the way, and you can do pretty much anything you want to. So our business started from consulting. So we just were in the big community of Bubble. Again, the community was the single biggest factor that helped us to scale our business early on. And this is something that anyone should consider as well. So even if the community is small, and probably the small community is the better community to get started with, because you'll have more people who are like-minded, who are very supportive, that can give you feedback and financial support as well early on for your startup, same as happened with us. So we had a few consulting gigs when we were just helping people out, sharing our knowledge and getting on the call with people and exploring the ways to accomplish what they wanted to accomplish with Bubble. So we started to scale that slowly. We started to get more reputation within that community, and very soon we actually got a few jobs that were like a few hours development here and a few hours design there, and the jobs started to get bigger and bigger and bigger. And soon enough, we actually didn't have any bandwidth for consulting, so we just had time to do contract work, meaning full-scale design, development, etc. We started to scale our team. First we were 2, then we were 3, then we were 5. Fast forward 4 years, we're actually a team of almost 40 people that are doing a lot of things, as I mentioned in the beginning. But our starting point was turning our own passion of creating things and helping other people to do the same, and sharing what we have learned the hard way with people, and people were super happy to pay for it, because that saved them a lot of time, that saved them a lot of hassle of making the same mistakes that we have already done and experienced ourselves. So it was a win-win for everyone. And later on, we actually expanded on the same philosophy by creating no-code templates that were supposed to, and there still are, helping people to cut corners and get to where they want to faster. Because probably anyone who has been in a startup world long enough has heard about those concepts of, okay, I have this startup idea which is just like Airbnb, but it's for I don't know, for dogs, or Uber for cocktail parties, or you name it. So take one startup name that made it, and then there's a whole multitude and myriad of ideas that can come together in a lot of weird combinations, that each one of them has actually their own audience and niche. So we thought, okay, all of these ideas have something in common, meaning that if you're building an Airbnb type website, then your website should have landing page, it should have a search, it should have a directory, profile, the way to chat, and the way to pay people and get paid. So that is kind of the integral part of it. And then on top of it, the twists can be different. Same for Uber. So there has to be a way for you to place the order. There has to be a way for the other people to respond to that, for you to pay each other, to rate each other, etc. So that is there is a commonality between all of those different variations, which we actually packaged into templates, meaning that if you're starting your Airbnb for dogs, as I mentioned, then you already have the page that has login, sign up, profile, comments, payments, everything already taken care of. You don't need to spend any more time on that. What you need to focus on is your unique branding, your unique idea and that twist which you want to put on top of it. So this is the only thing you need to take care of, and that can be super fast and so much more efficient than doing it all from scratch all over again. So that kind of was the essence of the other product, which is currently one of the biggest products that we're offering, and that it goes along the same way. So we have been there ourselves, and we know that the community that we are a part of is full of people who are passionate about something, about their niche and about their industry, and they want to get there faster. They want to get their ideas validated. So we're helping them by providing them our consultancy, our advice, and products that can help us to support that. So we're monetizing this. And this is just one example. I heard and I know of so many others. So people are building paid communities. People are building educational products. We have one as well, by the way. So there is a lot of free content that can help people to get started, but there's also a lot of advanced content that people are happy to pay for to learn, to build, or take their business to the next level. So no code is actually a great game changer in the way that it just helps to get to the results so much faster. The process itself is probably not drastically different from any other business. You start with the idea, you evaluate the market, you explore the options, but you just build it and try and learn so much faster than you normally would, and it costs you so much less time, money, and everything else, all of your resources combined, that is just a crime not to try, or so to say. So that's kind of where people should get started with. Start with the idea, start with the community around it, and look for what people are happy to pay for, and try things out. I mean, try it, and if it works, great. If it fails, go ahead and try something else. No code gives you the leeway and opportunity to try it at almost like zero additional effort.
The brick and mortar like ups and down stories are really adorable, and I assume our participants just can't wait to subscribe a template, get their brands done, and purchase a domain and start selling. But now when it comes to when the idea is ready, products there, how can we help no-coders make profit and scale and eventually turn the no-code products into a sustainable business where they can be part of?
Yeah, as I mentioned, the process, like let's say the main checkpoints of the process of building a sustainable business are exactly the same. So I love the quote that I actually stole from one of the software engineers writing about no code, is that no code does not mean no work. So it does help to get the results a lot faster and a lot more efficient, and you have much less prerequisites to actually get where you want to. But it does not mean you just can sit at your couch and do something, spend a couple of hours in the evening, and you're done. That's not the way it works. And anything worth keeping, anything worth saving, requires your investment of your time and your energy. The different thing that no code actually enables you to do is that you can get there way faster. So things that took 6 months to 1 year to accomplish and validate with no code probably take you 2 weeks or a month, depending on how much time you actually have available. So getting to a sustainable business is the process that does not differ in the no-code world as compared to the brick and mortar world. You decide on your beachhead in terms of your clients and your offering. You put out something out there, or you throw a few things and see which ones stick, and you find the ones that do work, and you scratch the ones that don't work, and you improve and you learn, and you improve and you learn. So I personally love the lean startup methodology that actually explores the very same problems of how do you turn a business idea into a sustainable business. So in short, move in baby steps, learn as much as possible. So the whole startup experience is learning as fast as you can. And no-code tools are actually the game changer in that sense, because previously you needed a tech team, you needed a lot of time to actually build a product or a variation of a product. Then you needed a lot of time to test it and then regroup and do the same. So this was all very resource hungry, financially, costly, etc. This is why, back in the day, you did not have the liberty of experimenting all that much before no code came into the play. Now with no code, you can literally be a one-person team that is experimenting with his ideas, and every week you can be trying something new, something completely different. You can be measuring your results on your own. You don't need a team of analysts for that. There are plenty of tools that can give you enough insights for you to understand whether or not you're on the right track with your idea or that new iteration of yours or not. And that's kind of what Lean Startup is all about. Funnily enough, the tool that we are loving the most, Bubble, and the creator of Lean Startup approach, Eric Ries, is actually one of the early investors in the product. And it kind of shows that the philosophy of Bubble and no code overall, I mean, it's not something that Bubble is exclusive in. All of the tools are actually getting you to the results, or you're learning so much faster. And this is what people should actually do. Learn, because there's no universal recipe for any business to become sustainable. You just do X, Y, Z, and you're fine. Of course, it doesn't work like that. If it would, then we would all be millionaires already by now. But that's kind of subjective to each individual niche. That's subjective to each individual business and the personality of the founder as well. So some people enjoy working 60-hour weeks or whatnot, and for some people, they're looking for the maximum efficiency, and they can only spend maybe 5 hours a week working the full-time job or taking care of your family. So it all is very subjective, but the beauty of no code is that you have options and you have efficiency. So you're welcome to use that and find your own way for a sustainable business. And even the definition of sustainable business is also very personal. So get yours, find it out, learn, and community will definitely help you out regardless of your objective and where you want to go.
That's great. It sounds like when you have the right tool, right resource, good team of people, maybe even team of one, you can eventually build a super powerful product out of no code. So now I'm curious to hear, what are the limitations of no code?
Well, that's a great question, because there are always limitations to pretty much anything. There are limitations to technology. There are limitations to common sense, and the no code is no exception from that rule as well. But the term no code itself is so generic and so wide that you cannot be very accurate saying, okay, the limitation of no code is this. So this would be by definition incorrect, because Airtable, a tool that helps you to visually create and maintain complex databases, is no code. And Bubble, a tool which helps you to create your application from scratch, and like end-to-end, is also no code. And their limitations and their capabilities are very different, and they're not even the same, let's say, use cases most of the time, right? So you can't compare those two and say, yeah, okay, the limitation of no code is that. What I'm getting at is that there are limitations to particular tools that people are using for their particular use case, always, of course. As is with any programming frameworks or other technical components, there are always limitations, and they are, most of the time, they're temporary because the technology is not static, but there are some things to be considered for your particular use case that you choose and that you want to explore. So for instance, if you're using Zapier to automate your service or your product, then there are some limitations in, for instance, how frequently you can call a particular process or a particular Zap. So you can enhance that and you can play with it, but that affects your pricing structure, and still that cannot be like super instant, I believe, in most cases. So in case of Bubble, Bubble is a cloud-based framework that takes care of everything within the shared cloud. So the limitations of that is that if your application depends on some offline functionality, then Bubble is not the right fit. So Airtable is a great tool for taking care of databases, But if you need some fancy visuals, then there is a limitation there. And the opposite of that, Webflow is a fantastic tool to create your no-code design in no time. But if you need some enhanced or sophisticated backend functionality, then Webflow has a limitation there. So the point of that is there are limitations to individual tools, but the beauty of it is that you can weave a lot of them together that eventually will overcome any and all limitations on your way to get to where you want to. And there is an abundance of different tools for different use cases that pretty much anyone can use and explore. A lot of them are either free or very, very accessible to be used. So my recommended mindset for everyone exploring the path is that consider there are no limitations, like literally none. So, and when you hear that something is not possible, just don't take it for granted. Just explore it for yourself. Look at, talk to people, engage with the community, and most probably you're going to be overcoming 99% of any limitations that people thought that they do have, and they'll be pushing the boundaries of what is possible. And once you do stumble upon some sort of a technical limitation that would be really out there, it's just a matter of time until it just gets to be completely possible. So my take on this, there are no limitations if done right. So you just need to find the right tools and explore the right options.
That's absolutely true. I think the key, what I learned from you is to understand your use case, understand how you evaluate different tools, and trial and error. There's no right or wrong on trying different tools and apply in your own business model. And we can see a lot of your tools like Bubble, Webflow. Bubble raised big round not long ago. Webflow also raised big round recently. Coder,
yep.
They raised a lot of capital, and the Series A of Notion is also crazy. So how do you see products built from no-code tools? What's the convenient way to access capitals?
Yeah, it's a great question. So you're right that the market is getting more and more comfortable with people building without code. Previously, this was something revolutionary or even rebellious. So how come that you have built a tech business or a tech product and you're looking for funding and you're looking to service people, and that it doesn't even have code, or you don't have a technical team or something? That sounded outrageous. But the more we're getting into it, the more people are realizing that this is just another way to build products. And similarly to, as if people are not outraged if someone is building on Python versus building on Java, or building on C++ versus building on Ruby. Why didn't you build on Ruby? We don't hear questions like that anymore. But probably maybe back in the day when these frameworks were new, those questions were very much real. So if Java works, why do you explore anything else? I mean, yeah, why not? So that's the same is happening right now with no code. So the question right now is, why do build with code? Because while you can wing it and then build it without code, without spending a ton of time on assembling the team, building things out and putting them into code and then deploying and blah 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 and all that stuff, when all you need initially is the validated concept. And we have been talking about this with a few colleagues yesterday, is that actually nowadays we think that the startups and the businesses which are looking for funding that are built without code actually have more chances of proving the fact that they actually have market traction. Meaning that if initially you wanted to prove you have some market traction, then you needed a product that is working, that people are ready to pay for, etc. And for that, you actually needed a lot of tech investment. You needed a team, or you needed to do it yourself. That is always an option, but not anymore. So now all you need is an idea and enough guts to actually go and do it, and put it in front of people, and then find your particular audience, which will be happy to support the idea, that will be getting value out of your product. And whether or not it is using code or it doesn't use code, is of little importance to people as long as they're getting value out of it. And if it saves them time, it saves them pain, and saves them money, they will be happy to pay for it. So, and if you get there faster and with less expenses as compared to no code and the code traditional approach, then your idea is actually has more investment potential, because if you have been able to get to a market fit without code, then having a technical team on board will take you even further. So Jason Calacanis, I think, was one of the prominent investors that mentioned not so long ago that he is currently actually looking at no-code founders and no-code early stage startups as ideas that have much more solid proof that they are viable. They are the ideas that have proven themselves working. So no-code is just one major solid tool that you can use to prove that your idea is worth investing into. So definitely that's not a no-go. That's more of a plus than a minus rather than anything else nowadays, I believe.
Yeah, that's great. We have an interesting question right here.